Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio, Water 7.9 FM, and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Relika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, February 12, 2020. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, the Honorable Pamela Gordon-Carty, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning, colleagues, ministers, and to all listeners on the different media. I have the following points that I would like to bring forward today. For the Ministry of VSA, these are the following points. Latest developments regarding the policy of Article 6 that was also published in the newspaper, which we are basically trying to guarantee as much as possible that the locals get a fair chance for any vacancies on the market of St. Martin. I have to mention also with this point that I got an email yesterday, well, basically today, this morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I will not mention the name of the company, but it's stating that they are unable to find skilled personnel for the following capacity: 4 salesperson, 3 delivery preparation persons, 2 cleaners, 2 pastry cook, and 2 bakers. I find it highly unlikely that we can get these people on the local market. We know St. Martiners are cookers. They are good cooks. Cleaners, you don't need skilled personnel for a cleaning position. Pastry cook, I can understand if you want something specific. Delivery and preparation persons, I don't know what they mean with this. These are names that are being created to justify why people are looking for work permits and why we have to continue signing work permits. Salesperson. I cannot believe that we don't have local salesperson. And like these, you have other selective groups that will continue sending these type of emails to prove something that I do not stand for. We have sufficient locals on the market that can do these type of jobs. I have encountered during my tenure a lot of work permits coming on my desk with different type of names that are being invented. And when you see what is the capacity of the function, it's just maybe a simple function that you're supposed to give it a different name. People, let's just stop it. I want to address the public right now and the business community. Stop. Let's give the locals a fair chance to get and fill in the positions, just like how for years we have been given a lot of work permits. I think it's time right about now for everybody together to cooperate and give the locals a fair chance to apply for the vacancies at the different locations and businesses. I will be handling this further internally, and we are looking also into other measures that we can take in order to continue the effort that we are right now busy doing to guarantee and to maximize, try to reinforce that the locals that are unemployed get job whilst living on St. Martin. We are not going to stop. My second point is we want to congratulate MHF for the three professionals that I sign off on is 2 psychiatrists and 1 psychologist. It's important for our organization as MHF to get the different experts that they need on board in order for them to contribute to the welfare of the well-being of the country, St. Martin. It's not only crazy people, it's people that are depressed, people that have stress, that are still living in a situation after the Hurricane Irma. They are dealing with different type of situations when it comes to economical, familiar, and social. So MHF is there, and we have to guarantee that they have the sufficient and the necessary experts on board in order to deliver the services that they have to. So congratulations to the 3 experts that came on board by MHF. Apparently, they were long overdue. It came to on our desk during my tenure, and it was signed off for them to become part of the MHF group. Congratulations. We also want to congratulate our new labor mediator, Marcelina Loblac. We want to congratulate her for coming on board and being part of the team. Also, we want to extend congratulations to Eva Lista De Wever, which has been hired as the head of the Department of Collection Preventative Services, CPS, and she will be also executing the task as a full-time epidemiologist in the Ministry of FESA. The ministry has been running without an epidemiologist for 3 years. I received this advice on my desk in January and sign off on it one time, as I consider it to be a very important function that had to be filled in for such an important role. I want to congratulate Eva and welcome her on board on this well-needed moment. She couldn't have been placed in a better timing. Also, I want to inform to the public that we have a vector project that will be starting. It will be discussed in our CoM, our next CoM, which will also guarantee that basically the public health will be secured by doing constant spraying and checking of the environment for our population. We are happy to report today that there is still 0 cases of coronavirus on St. Martin. We remain vigilant as we are in constant contact with Curacao. Last night I spoke with Minister of Public Health of Curacao, Suzanne Camelia Römer, and we were exchanging information, and we need to inform the public that it's a collaborative effort to maintain the coronavirus out of our shores. It's not only a government thing, it's also in combination with the population that we will maintain the virus far offshore. We have a group chat which includes Curacao and Aruba and myself, and we are in constant contact and exchanging information on ways moving forward, on things that we are experiencing, because you will always have those that will be informing and misinforming the population with wrong and fake information. We have to remember that fake information can have detrimental effect for the country itself. So we want to inform the population. If you're not sure about something, limit of making any public statement, because it's not only about you, it's about the country on itself. When it comes to the Inspectorate of Public Health, I have instructed them to reinforce controls when it comes to supermarkets, restaurants. We are checking out foods, and also we will be doing the controls when it comes to labor. We have noticed that it have a lot of negative rumors when it comes to the reinforcement of the policy of Article 6. I can't imagine that whilst we are living on St. Martin, there is still a selective group that find it okay for a minister to continue signing off on work permits while not putting a stop to try to bring a balance when it comes to securing the labor market for the local market. So we are going to do on both ends. We are trying to secure the labor market, but at the other end, we will be reinforcing controls as well. There are rules to be followed, and we expect every business to follow the rules. Phase 2 of the housing repair program is basically will be starting next week. As I mentioned in previous press briefing, we had made a decision with the limited funds that VSA has, that basically we are going to use those funds to try to help as much people as possible that are still in the situation with their roofing, whilst we are awaiting NRPB to finalize their process that is ongoing. So to that extent, we have gathered a team. We kept meetings in the night from 7 to 9, where we invited the population of the different districts to come and inform if they had any issues with their houses, roofing, or repairs that needed to take place with their houses. The outcome was excellent. It could have been more. But those that we got on the list, we will be working towards achieving to fix their house and repairs with the monies that it have available under the budget. So that will be starting next week. On the last notice for when it comes to Ministry of VSA, I want to inform that last week I wasn't here because my name was being called on the radio stating that there is sewage water running in Cahill. I went there with my team and we checked out the situation, and a report was made. And basically the conclusion, based on the advice that were given to me, is that the sewage water is running on public roads, and therefore it's something concerning Ministry of Romy. So we as Ministry of VSA did our part, and Ministry of Romy, we had contact with them, and they will take it there further. When it comes to the Ministry of TIAT, in the capacity of representing the Minister of TIAT, I'm here to inform the public the following. We want to congratulate Valia Pantoflet that has transitioned into her new role as the head of Economy, Transport, and Telecommunications. Congratulations, Valia, and we hope that this new venture will make you grow towards and into your career. We also want to inform the public that basically we are in constant contact with FCCA to continue monitoring the different developments that is around our area, in our region, and in the different countries when it comes to the coronavirus. We are not resting. we are getting constant feedback from not only FCCA, but also from different other organizations that we are in contact with in order to keep ourselves addressed and in knowing when a decision has to be made, that it can be made according information given and received from official sources. On another note, I want to congratulate our first local maritime pilot, Mr. Joshua Johnson. I took it upon myself to make mention of it today in the press because these are things that do not get the necessary media nor attention when it comes to making these things public. It's our local and is the first local maritime pilot. I think the media is supposed to put more balance when it comes to providing these type of information to the population as well. Congratulations, Joshua Johnson. The Ministry of TIAT applauds also the Ministry of VESA as a whole, the CPS department, the airport team, and the port for working together and for having constant team building and team information sessions where we basically are extending and exchanging information when it comes to following protocols and other rules and regulations that needs to be adhered to. I myself was on the airport and I did a walkthrough as I want to see for myself what are the preparations that were done at the airport. And I have to applaud the team for doing an excellent job when it comes to using the sources and means that they have in order to be prepared to any disaster or any situation that might present itself. The ESF-10, the disaster management team of the Ministry of TIAT, met with their French counterparts to discuss and exchange information regarding operations and to determine how they can and will work together in the future. The ministry is further working closely with KPSM to address gypsies on the island as well. Representatives of the ministry are returning to the island from the Immigration Expo, which is the Immigratiebeurs in the Netherlands, where they met with potential investors and entrepreneurs who may be interested in doing business with St. Martin. I also have to make mention that our decision to leave the Ida ship come in was one of our best decisions, as it didn't have no type of threats of corona to our island, and also it has been informed to us, which we are going to receive in writing the confirmation hereof, that they are already doing more exercise to bring the ship more often in the port of St. Martin. As we speak, they are basically putting the agenda together from 2021. And my last information for Ministry of VESA is that basically we want to congratulate the SLS for the certification of St. Martin Laboratory Services for the ISO 15189. And this is a formidable news that it has to be passed, that it has passed the audit for ISO 15189 certification for the defined scope. That was all for today, and I await your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Development, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Christopher Waver, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to my colleague ministers, members of the media, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. On Monday, I had the honor to represent the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport to be present at the launching of the St. Martin Interscholastic National Games, SING. The launching of the SING event was organized by the St. Martin Sports and Olympic Federation. I was happy to see the amount of different organizations and school representatives that were present there that evening, which shows the continued growth in our sports and our athletes to come. So it's a good example to see, especially when growing up. I remember when I used to play sports for the school and even for the St. Martin national team, that we did not have these organizations to help launch the careers of so many potential athletes that we have. So it's good to see that we are progressing as a nation when it comes to the sports and to our athletes. As to any updates for the Ministry of Rummy, this morning the Department of Infrastructure will be conducting inspections together with a representative of Winthrop Roads to confirm the areas of road patching. As we know, due to the constant rainfall, it has created many new potholes and made the existing ones even bigger. Please note that it has the ministry's full attention and we are diligently working to resolve these issues. I would also like to clarify some misunderstandings concerning my remarks last week in relation to the landfill. I would like to make it clear that the landfill continues to be a priority for all concerned. What is important to note is the hard work that the ministry has done since taking over the management of the landfill. The ministry has been conducting the necessary works, as in the daily operations, as it pertains to reprofiling the landfill and covering of the fill as necessary, using just the national budget. My comments were mainly to emphasize the hard work that the Ministry of Rummy has done over the past few months to enhance the situation at the landfill, which has caused an improvement of the landfill compared to a few years ago. Don't get me wrong, we still have a lot of work to do, and we look forward to continue moving forward in the right direction with all involved. As it pertains to the Ministry of General Affairs, I would like to state that the Prime Minister, Severia Jacobs, and the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ardwell Irion, traveled to the Netherlands jointly. On Monday evening, Prime Minister Severia Jacobs and Minister of Finance, Ardwell Irion, jointly traveled to the Netherlands to partake in a series of meetings with several government officials. These meetings will include discussions with Minister of Interior and Kingdom Relations, Mr. Raymond Knops, and discussions with St. Martin representatives in the Kingdom Council of States, Maria van der Sluis-Plans. Additionally, Prime Minister Jacobs will also attend the Kingdom Council of Ministers meetings scheduled for this coming Friday, together with the Minister of Plenipotentiary, Mr. Rene Violinis. During these important meetings, amongst other pressing matters, the ministers planned on presenting the position of the government of St. Martin in relation to the matter of the request for liquidity support for 2018 and 2019. Secondly, this past week, in her capacity as Prime Minister, Ms. Severia Jacobs met with Carnival Corporation Vice President of Global Ports and Caribbean Government Relations, Marie McKenzie, and Director of Port Development and AMP Operations, Mr. Alexander Gums. They discuss where the possibilities for St. Martin to diversify the experience for visitors and to create more cultural and ecological attractions on the island. The Prime Minister also was invited as a guest at the event hosted by the President of the Collectivité of St. Martin, Mr. Daniel Gibbs, at La Semana. This event was attended by government officials representing 9 French territories. The event was a kickoff for the Conference of the Presidents of the outermost regions of the Europe, hosted by French Saint Martin. The representatives of the nine territories have confirmed their commitment to work together to preserve the interests of the overseas in Europe and are part of full support of the new presidency carried out by the Mayotte Department. At the event, Prime Minister Severio Jacobs was able to network and engage in discussions with the various government officials and assured President Gibbs that the government of St. Martin continues to be in full support of the development of our northern partners, where cooperation may be needed. Last week, Prime Minister Severio Jacobs had a fruitful discussion with the Committee of Civil Servants Union, CCSU board, and their members along with the APS representatives. During the meeting, the union was able to give an update on the position of the CCSU members in regards to pension reform, the firemen, and the function book. The meeting was aimed at discussing the legislation as it is now and determining the way forward. In doing so, Prime Minister Severio Jacobs and CCSU agreed to continue discussions with their board and its members. This concludes my updates for today, and I await any questions from the press. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister Waver. The Minister of Justice, the Honorable Egbert Duran, is present, however, will not be making any opening statements, but is available for any questions the media may have. Seeing that it's only one media that we will have one round of questions. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present today, and the minister in the Netherlands, Goedemorgen. So, question to all of you that are here today. Shortly, some of you might not be here, but there have been in your ministry, there burning issue that was on your desk, things that you would have wanted to accomplish. Is your wish to highlight where, you don't have a lot of time, so just speak to the people.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. Thank you for your question. As you know, government is a continuous operation, and as such, anything that is still pending would be in overdracht documents for the incoming ministers. So whether you're staying or you're leaving, every minister is required to still have the transition documents ready for the next minister, whether they stay or whether they leave. So that should result in continuation. As such, when my time does come to leave office, I will have discussions with the incoming minister as well as to various plans that the ministry had, and to see how we can make sure that those can be completed. Thank you.
From my end, thank you for the question, Mr. Brown. From my end, what I have to say is whatever that I saw that was something that had to be corrected, I did my utmost in order to correct it in a permanent manner, in the sense of passing policies. I took my time with the team to pass policies, make sure that those are in place. And like my colleague minister mentioned about the transition document, that will be handed over to the minister that have to take over office. And other pending stuff will be also discussed with the minister that have to take over the office. And we will let them know how far we have reached. But we all know that in government, things do take place on a long term sometimes. So therefore, the continuity will continue with a minister that have to take office after.
Good morning. Thank you for your question, Mr. Brown. You asked what was one of the burning issues, and as everyone knows, one of the main issues within the Ministry of Justice is the function books across the board in all the different departments. We were able to pass within the Council of Ministers the salary scales for the KPSM, which is something that we have to do one by one per department. So this is still in the pipeline in terms of going through the proper trajectory, but it was passed within the Council of Ministers, and then it goes on to the placement, the establishment of the functions, and also eventually the placements. So this is something that is not 1, 2, 3. It has been an issue for 9 years now. I've committed myself to work on it diligently, and even yesterday I had a update meeting as to the progress thus far. It is not 1, 2, 3. But I can tell the staff within the Ministry of Justice to rest assured it does have the full priority of this government and the full priority of the incoming government as well, because it didn't shift that much in terms of who's going in there now. And one accomplishment I would like to say is I show about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, you all remember the group of BAFPOL officers from the police that won their court case, and they were basically told that they have to come to an agreement with the government to resolve their issues so they can get their answering datum, so the date that they started. We were able to reach a consensus, and the signing will take place this afternoon. So that is one big accomplishment, then in a step in the right direction in terms of getting things resolved that have been lagging for so long. I'm a very solution-oriented person, and I realize that a lot of things you wonder, why is it taking so long? And I think it was lack of priority and lack of accountability to individuals that have to take care of it. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, ministers. I will allow one more question, Mr. Brown.
Question to Minister Gordon Carty. Minister, as I prepare the question, I think you should be congratulated for having St. Martin at heart. You mentioned something about the employment. There are a lot of people, I don't know who actually sent that email to you, but there are lots of people of St. Martin, from St. Martin, who are skillful in all areas. They just need the opportunity. So recently we had a discussion on the vacancy and the employment opportunity. If you wish to make it clear again in which areas that there are employment for the people of St. Martin. Lastly, the people of St. Martin are very skillful, and the skills, there are a lot of skills in all areas, from teaching, welding, mechanic, they are there. So could you just highlight, let people know where they can come to sign up and where the vacancy are?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Brown. When it comes to work permits, I think it's public knowledge that people know how I stand with work permits when it comes to especially positions that I think and that I know that it have locals that can execute the job. I have a problem in signing for work permits when it comes to those type of categories, and I have not held that as a secret to no one. It has come to my attention whilst I'm executing the Ministry of ASL as Minister of ASL, that a lot of work permits, as I mentioned before, people are inventing names to make it look as if it's something that is very specialized, that we do not have it on St. Martin, which will make it justifiable to sign off on a work permit, which I have been scrutinizing, and I have been not really willing to sign off on those work permits until I get a lot of details when it comes to the function. Again, it's not 1, 2, 3, because we have to remember that these things has been going on for years. So basically, you can't change things in 3 months' time. I am here now for 3 months. Whilst during my tenure as Minister of ASA, I will do my utmost in order to guarantee that after I leave office, that the opportunity is still there for the locals to continue having that enhanced chance to get the job that is basically there. Nobody really complaining about the amount of illegals that is on the country and working and executing the job from the locals. But when it comes to exercising and reinforcing an Article 6, which is to the protection of the locals, you're hearing a lot of negative remarks. And I find people supposed to put things in perspective, balance it out a little bit, because at the end of the day, we cannot continue giving out work permits that belongs to the locals as well. So to answer your question, we have a lot of vacancies. You will always find some selective group that will always want to pretend as if there is no locals to fulfill the vacancies. But we on our end have to show that the locals are there. If they do not want the locals, that's a different story. But basically they are there. So the vacancy list, I will set up myself a team that I can walk through the system for me to see what are the functions that are highly in demand. And I will be putting that in the newspaper before I leave office. So the population is informed about these are the ones that are mostly demanded. I will also put some graphs before I leave to give the public a view of what is the real situation on the labor market. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty. Honorable Ministers of the Council, member of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, February 12, 2020. For rebroadcast, tune in at 7 p.m. on St. Martin Cable TV and via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM. For video on demand, log on to the official government's website at stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication, I'm Rebecca Roach, and bidding you a pleasant day further.